for once in our lives, I don't want to go into any James Rolfe drama, although I don't think there even is any. Well, there's his mailbag thing.
Yeah, I'm a bit bored by
I am too.
drama, but
there's a good rebound topic. We can use it to talk about something more abstract than him and his lights. Okay. Yes. I saw a comment on that Reddit today. It was something along the lines of, I'm sick of man-child culture. Now that's rich coming from anybody posting on that board, because like the go-to insult for anybody talking about this stuff is like, you're man-children, you're in your basement, you're virgins, blah, blah, blah. But what he was saying was, he doesn't like the fact that YouTube is filled with the business model of like, oh, I'll talk about retro games. I'll talk about cereals from my childhood. I'll talk about toys. I'll talk about all this like, kid stuff, but I'm in my 40s and I'll run ads. He's going like, there's a bunch of guys in their 40s dressed like it's laundry day at college talking about toys on the internet. And it's like a cottage industry, because it's so well viewed. I thought about that a little bit because, of course, I took it a little bit personally because I'm surrounded by Power Rangers and arcades and all this kind of thing. But I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong in my life. I got a kid, I got a wife, I got a cool job, I've got cool hobbies. But like, but am I addicted to content about my childhood? Yes, I am. I love it. It makes me feel good. It's my way of relaxing, is to think of like, yeah, going back and watching these classic Simpsons episodes or playing these classic games, man. I don't know. I probably am for the rest of my life stuck in a nostalgic loop. I have to admit.
Well, I mean, I think even my grandma was watching those cowboy shows like until her deathbed. Like she would be watching those shows. She probably, it's like you do that. You do, you find things that comfort you and you watch them. It's like, whatever.
it must really, like, the things that hit your pleasure centers when you're a child. Think about how powerful that must be. That like you can be 50 and you're like, yeah, I'm just going to veg out and play Final Fantasy 3 because it, like, not because it's, yes, because it's a good game, but really because it makes me feel the way I felt that one time, it's a drug.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that segues pretty well into my top 10 Super Nintendo video that I'm making.
Yes.
So I've talked about it a little bit. I've shown you half of it so far. So how would you describe it so far?
Well, it's probably the most produced thing you've made on the channel, I think, or top 5 or something. It's like, in terms of effort and polish, in terms of like, you must have decided at some point producing this that you didn't want to half-ass this, that like, it's not coming out until it's the way you want it to be. And so there's all kinds of nice little touches, like the cinematography and light and like stylistic lighting of the cartridges, and the extent to which you allow yourself to be tangential. I think the thing that makes it most special is that you're not afraid to talk about yourself. It's about EJ and these games. It's not just about these games. It's about EJ and these games. Which some people, if you were to pitch that, some people might go like, oh, well, that'll make it suck, or that'll make it that'll make it unrelatable or something. But no, I think it actually makes it like infinitely more relatable. It's, like you talk about, I was playing this game when I was, thinking about marrying this girl, or when I was stuck at home and didn't know what was going to happen next with my career, or, or I was playing this game when I borrowed it from a friend who had already beaten it. And it's like, everybody has something like that they can go, oh yeah, it's not this game for me, but it's another game or something. I think it ought to be very well received. It's a really cool video. So I've seen the first 22 minutes or so. How much longer do you suppose it is?
It's probably like 18 minutes longer, maybe. So the next half, it will go by faster for me to edit, but
it really is. It's closer to a documentary, I'd say, than it is a YouTube video. It's like a short document. It's like closer to like the gaming historian, if people know that channel. Like it's closer to, which I think it's a pretty good partner video to Junt SNES. Like if you were to watch all of Junt SNES and then watch this, like you'd have a gay old.
That's great to hear. I because sometimes I get too in my head about this, so I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
No, it's really I think you followed your instincts. I mean, that's what makes. I think anytime we make videos that we can actually like step away from and be like, well, okay, that one was different than the stuff that we put out more regularly, is when like you're just in a flow state and you're following some instinct that you to yourself don't necessarily understand, but you're like, okay, but I think, like the weight loss video, for instance, like it just kind of came together. Like I was just following some instinct about how I wanted to communicate about it. I didn't have like a very clear vision. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to say about like that flow state thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for this video, I just was I did try to take like every tangent, like every tangent that I wanted to go on, I just went on it. Like instead of pruning that inclination, I just went with it almost every time.
Yeah. I think that's what makes it special. And then the fact that you're like, if you're going to do that, then you can't then be like, but I'll still try to like cut it for time or something. It's like, no, it's just like when people see it's a 44-minute video or whatever, that's a statement to them of like, that's the kind of video this is. I guess it's good with a thumbnail to try to signal that it's high production quality too. Like so they don't think they're going to watch a 44-minute podcast or something.
Yeah, that'll be something I have to think about is how I'm going to advertise it.
Yeah.
Because it's not just it is a top 10 list, but it is like a memoir in a way. So.
No, it's quite good. And I imagine the teleprompter also was kind of enabling, where you didn't have to be like, well, this is going to be an awful lot of me on camera, and I'm guessing that helped like enable some of that instinct that you wanted to follow.
Yeah, because it was I could do much longer takes, which was a little especially with some of the longer monologues that I take in that. It was very helpful for that, because I wouldn't like for a EJ review where I didn't have the teleprompter, I would just memorize lines. I'll be like, oh, that's too long, I'm not even gonna do it. It's just like
you now have amassed a fair amount of produced video game content between like Zelda 2 and Shovel Knight and the classic edition, Nintendo classic editions. You have Mario Run. That's one of my honestly, it's one of my favorite EJ videos is Mario Run, because you had just had Gabe.
Yeah.
You were trying to play it while taking care of him.
Man, time goes by, because that was
4 years ago.
4 years ago, over 4 years ago.
Yeah, time does fly.